Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stereo Launch video, and this is the first video in a series I'm calling How to Record a Song Quick Start Guide. So this is going to be a series of videos, 6, 10, 12, something like that. I'm not entirely sure yet. I've planned some of them out, but not all of them. But it's going to be kind of just a high-level guide of start to finish process of how to record a song. Now, specifically, this is kind of like how I record a song, and even more specifically, how I record this song. So it depends on style, instrumentation, and all that stuff. But this is a really good general guide of how to record a song. Now, in this series, I'm going to get into a few things and talk about some details and whys and hows and all that stuff, but we're not going to go super deep dive into things, not like 50 ways to record an acoustic guitar or 50 mics you can use on a snare or anything like that. This is going to be a little bit higher level and all that good stuff. But if you think I left something out or you have a question about anything, please make sure you ask those questions in the comment section down below. I'm happy to answer those, and I'll probably make some more videos addressing those details as well. I do have a whole nother series I'm working on right now where I do dive much deeper into all the technical things and considerations and all that stuff of recording. And one thing I wanted to mention as well is that no matter what, recording a song is not an exact science. It's not just step 1, step 2, step 3, step, and it works for everybody all the time. It's not an exact science. It is a bit of an art form, and it's a bit of just opinion and personal preference as well. So this is kind of how I'm going to approach recording this particular song, and hopefully you can find some things that you can adapt into your workflow that help make it easier and better for you when you record your songs. I know I like to see how other people do things and what their thought process is on things, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea, I should do that. And sometimes I think, yeah, I don't do that. That's not going to work for me because of X, Y, or Z, and it just reaffirms why I do things the way I do, and that's valuable as well. So I'm hoping through this series you're able to take a bunch of stuff away. Again, keep in mind, not an exact science. This is just how I'm going to be approaching this particular song with my particular setup. And my particular setup is a good segue into the gear I'm going to use. Real quick rundown on the gear that I'm going to use. Obviously I'm using my computer, my software, my interface, stuff like that, the basics you need, speakers and all that stuff for recording. For my microphone, I'll be only using one microphone, and it's going to be the Shure SM7B likely. This will be my vocal microphone. It's what I typically use for my vocals, just I like the way it sounds on my vocals, so this is my go-to. This whole time I'm recording this, I'm only going to use one input on my interface, so if you have a smaller interface at home, you only got 1 or 2 microphone inputs with maybe, it's a combo jack with the instrument input right in the middle of it, you're going to be fine. You can do all the same things I'm doing here. So just one microphone for this song. For my drums, I'm going to be using EZdrummer. Just going to use software for this one. I like EZdrummer a lot. There are obviously other options out there as well. If you have another drum software you like better, great. Feel free to use that. I'm no way endorsed by Toontrack, EZdrummer, or anything like that. It's just what I like to use. If you hate software drums and you only use real drums, that's fine too. I'm going to show you an option or two for that as well as we get into that. And then also guitars. This song is going to be heavily guitar driven, so I'm going to be using my main guitar, which is my Gibson Les Paul Studio. So I've got the Burstbucker Pros in here, and it's just an old 2013 Les Paul Studio. Great guitar, love it. Nothing over the top fancy, but awesome guitar. And then for my amp, I'm going to be using my Egnater Tweaker 15. I will not be using the speaker cabinets, I'll just be using the amp head. And as for pedals, I probably won't use any. If I do, I might use one other than my tuning pedal. But what I do with my tweaker head is I run it into this. This is the Two Notes Torpedo Captor. This is the 8 ohm version, and this is a load box. If you don't know what this allows me to crank up my amp really loud and get all that nice tube saturation and tone, but not be super loud here in my studio. As if I set one of these up with a microphone, that would be crazy loud. This keeps it at my normal speaker volume, whatever I have my speakers at, or if I have headphones, I only hear my headphones and I don't bother anybody. So I plug my amp into here. My amp sees this as a speaker cabinet. It's got a load on it, that's why it's called a load box. And I go XLR out of here into my interface, and then in my recording software, I have a plug-in that this uses that emulates speaker cabinets and microphones and all that stuff, and it sounds really good and lots of options and all that stuff. And so this is a really cool tool. Universal Audio also has one called the Aux Box. It's really nice too, and these guys got a new one coming out here in about a month at the time of this recording, and I might pick that up at some point. So anyways, very cool. It's really changed the way I record guitars. And something else I may end up using for my guitars, and definitely will be using my bass tone, is Amplitube 4. I usually use that for my bass, and then also I'll use it as like supporting guitar tones as well. Not the main guitar tone, but supporting ones. And sometimes they end up as main guitar tones, but not usually. So we'll play around with that and see what's going to work there as well. So as far as my bass, I will be using my Schecter Stiletto 5-string. Very cool bass. It's got active pickups and all that stuff. Hard to find a lefty that's a 5-string. That's not crazy expensive and all that stuff. So I really like playing on a 5-string. It has some benefits for me. Yeah, so 5-string bass. And that's it for the gear as far as what I'm planning on. So I got one microphone using EZdrummer. I got one small guitar amp, probably one guitar, one bass, and going to be using Amplitube and my load box. And of course, you don't need to have all these things. This isn't like a ton of gear, but if you don't have drum software, or you play piano and you don't play guitar, or whatever it is, or you don't have a bass, or maybe you hate Amplitube and only use your real amp, that's all fine. These are just the tools that I'm going to use for recording this song. These are kind of my standard go-to tools. All right, so with all the gear out of the way, one thing I want to mention real quick also is that this is not going to be a songwriting series, so I'm going to assume that your song's already written. You already kind of know the instrumentation you're probably going to have, and that of course can change and evolve as you start to record stuff. Think, oh, it'd be great to have piano here. Add piano. Don't say, well, I didn't start with piano, so I can't have piano, whatever. But you already kind of know the instrumentation you're going to have. I'm going to have drums, bass guitar, several guitar parts, and several vocal parts, right? That's going to be my song. And of course, you already have an idea of the arrangement, which is usually part of the songwriting process. You already know how many verses, choruses, bridge, if you're going to have guitar solo, or you're going to hire a whole entire symphony and do a 10-minute interlude. I don't know. Whatever it is, you kind of already have that planned out. So again, this isn't really a songwriting course. This is more of just after the song is written, this is how to record it. All right, so with all that stuff out of the way now, it is time to begin the recording process. And at the very beginning of the recording process, what we need to do is set up our recording session inside of our software, and that's what we're going to do now. All right, so here we are in our recording software. As you can see, I'm using Studio One, artist version here. Anything I plan on doing will work in any recording software, whether you're using Pro Tools or whatever. I still use Pro Tools, but I have Studio One also just to kind of change things up. Studio One's got some cool features and stuff like that as well. But again, anything I'm planning on doing should work in any recording software, and if I do something that might be specific to Studio One, I'll go ahead and mention that. But it should all be doable within any recording software. All right, so back into our software again, here we are. We need to create a new song, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to record a new song. So I'm going to call this Wasting All My Time. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but the song I'm going to be recording is an old song. I'm kind of doing a best of. I'm taking a lot of my old songs I wrote back in college, late 90s, early 2000s, and re-recording them because I only had a 4-track or whatever at the time. And a lot of these are going to be pop punk kind of stuff. So I just thought it'd be fun to do them. So this is kind of just for fun, but you can see my process as I go along. So again, it's Wasting All My Time. I'm recording at sample rate 48K, 24-bit. You can record higher or lower if you want to. This is just where I like to be. I don't remember the tempo right now. I'm going to double check that, and we might talk about that a little bit later on. But I'm going to use this template. This is a template that I made. And if you want to see how to create your own template inside of Studio One, you can check out the link I'll have up here, and also leave a link in the description below. But this is just one I created. It just gives me a starter template for recording my songs. It's got everything set up and ready to go. And we'll look at that here in just a second, so I don't have to recreate that every time I want to record a song. I know Pro Tools does the same thing, and other ones do a very similar thing. You can set up templates for recording and for mixing. So this is one of my recording templates I have set up. All right, so we're going to be in 4/4. We hit OK. And now that has loaded up my template and my session. You can see here I have EZdrummer. It's already got a drum setting on it. I've got my bass guitar track here. It's already got an amplitude and a setting on that. I have guitars 1 and 2. Those are coming from my Torpedo. I already have my inputs for that. Guitar 3 and 4 are using amplitude. I already have my input set for that and my panning and all that stuff. Lead guitar, temporarily set at amplitude. And then I'll have my bus for my guitars here as well. So I can turn all my guitars up or down as needed. And then I have a channel here for vocals. I will have more vocals for this song, but one will get me started, and that's good for now. So yeah, that's my starting point with my session. Got everything ready to go. All I gotta do is start plugging stuff in and start recording. And so if you don't have a template, that's fine. You can create this new channel, add your plugins or whatever, new channel, and all that stuff. So usually that's pretty easy to do in your software. Since I mentioned that we're going to be doing more vocals on here, let's just go ahead and create a vocal track. Let's say you didn't have anything in here and you needed to create a channel. So you create vocal track, audio. I'm just going to do one for now. We'll do another kind of purple. I use purple actually. So violet for my vocals, right? V for violet, V for vocals. That's how I come up with my coloring schemes. It's a mono track. I'm not going to use any presets on this. It'll be input 1 and all that stuff. You just create a new one and boom, right there. That's how you do that. So you can create any channels you need to if you don't have a template. Just start creating your channels for your drums, for your guitars or vocals or whatever it is you're going to use, your piano, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of get everything set up and ready to go for your session. Okay, so that's it for this video right now. We just kind of hit the highlights and kind of established some things, and now we've got our session set up and ready to start recording. In our next video, we're going to talk about scratch tracks. What are scratch tracks? Why we want scratch tracks, what they're good for, and how to do them. So the next video will be all about scratch tracks. Again, if you have any questions about anything I talked about in this video, let me know in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer those. I'll be making more videos around this, so hit subscribe. Right there. Right there. Hit subscribe and that notification bell and all that good stuff. And I'll have some links to some guides down below. Like I talked about with my Torpedo Captor recording stuff, I got a guide on different ways to record loud guitars. This isn't the only way. I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. Plus, if you're just getting started and you are wanting to build your own recording studio at home, I have a guide that just kind of talks about the 10 things you're going to need, and how to budget and how to think about things and plan for things and stuff like that. Also leave the link in the description down below for that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.